Welcome back to Liberal Breakdown. Today, things are getting wild on the global stage again, and we are talking about none other than Donald Trump. China is straight up trolling him after he pushed for sky-high tariffs and claimed other countries should grovel to the US. Yeah, he actually said that. Trump's been ramping up this trade war again, promising more tariffs on Chinese goods, acting like he's flexing for America. But now China's clapping back in a way that's honestly kind of hilarious, but also deeply concerning. Chinese state-affiliated accounts are circulating AI-generated images of Trump and even Elon Musk working in sweatshop-like conditions, lacing up Nike sneakers in factories. It's satire, yeah, but it's also their way of saying, you want tariffs? Fine. Watch what happens next.
Be it this AI-generated video floating around social media in China derisively depicting future American workers slowly making what's now assembled in China.
Behavior protocols engaged.
Or this Chinese government video billed as a sci-fi thriller with a robot named Tariff.
Aggressive tariffs implementing now.
Enacting U.S. tariffs that hurt the U.S.
Unemployment rates rising. Cost of living increasing.
Or if that's not enough, this AI image posted by China's foreign ministry meant to mock U.S. President Donald Trump and highlight what all Americans may pay for Trump's tariffs. What China now calls Trump's economic bullying.
This isn't just trolling, it's a warning. China just hit back hard, raising tariffs on U.S. imports to 125% after Trump escalated U.S. tariffs to 145%. Chinese officials are calling Trump's moves economic bullying. President Xi has called out the U.S. for unilateral aggression.
After one of the most volatile weeks on Wall Street ever, okay, you understand what I'm saying? Ever. Today, the market's made up for some of its losses, the Dow closing up just over 600 points. Now, that comes as China is hitting back on President Trump's tariff hike, saying, oh, they're raising tariffs on the U.S. imports as well, from 84% to 125%, and mocking Trump's policy as a joke. But while the president is claiming on social media that they are, quote, doing really well for the American people, that doesn't appear to be the case at all. Experts are estimating that this trade war could cost the average household an extra $4,700 a year. And today, a new survey shows consumer sentiment has plunged 11% to the second lowest level it's been since 1952.
And while all this is going on, Trump's acting like he's still got leverage, saying he's optimistic about a historic deal. Look, optimism is great, but delusion, not so much. You can't bully a global superpower into submission and expect them to just roll over. That's not how diplomacy works. This tariff war hurts farmers, workers, and small businesses here at home, not just China. We're already seeing the fallout. Small business owners like Beth Benieke are sounding the alarm. Consumers are feeling it in prices, and economists are warning this whole stunt could push us toward another downturn. So while Trump's fans cheer on the chaos, the rest of us, we're watching American families pay the price for a trade policy that's based more on ego than strategy. It's not strength, it's reckless. And if we don't start electing people who understand global economics, we'll keep getting played by the very countries Trump claims to be beating.
Just listen to what some small business owners are saying.
It's not like we can say, oh, we're just not going to buy from one country. We'll pivot to another country, especially when that country is China, which produces so many of our inventory products.
There's just so much uncertainty and chaos. Every day it seems to be something else coming from the White House or elsewhere. And so it's very hard to plan and predict what's going to happen because of the uncertainty and because of all the chaos that exists.
We're looking at, possibly closing within a year or two if this continues. I just don't see a future, in retail or in this economy, unfortunately.
I want to talk about small business owners like Amy Saldanha. She runs a toy store in Minnesota called Kiddy Wampus. Her story represents what so many folks are dealing with in this economy. When Trump started throwing tariffs around like confetti, saying it was going to help make America great again, what he actually did was put pressure on businesses that depend on imported goods and like toys, craft kits, learning tools, the stuff that makes childhood magical but also affordable. If you're a store owner like Amy and your suppliers are overseas, especially in places like China, those tariffs jack up the price before the product even hits your shelves. Now you're stuck choosing between raising prices, which could scare off your customers, suppliers, or eating the costs yourself, which means lower profits. For small businesses that already run on razor-thin margins, that's a recipe for disaster. And what's worse? These aren't big corporations with a team of lawyers and lobbyists. These are parents, entrepreneurs, people trying to bring a little joy to their community. Amy's store isn't Walmart. It's a local gem where creativity and connection happen every day. So while Trump was out there claiming victory with these tariff wars, Main Street America was quietly suffering. From toy stores to furniture shops to farmers markets, the burden fell right on their shoulders. You can't call yourself pro-business and then turn around and gut the people actually running businesses. Amy's story may not be front-page news, but it speaks volumes.
Have you seen this tweet from the Chinese Foreign Ministry? That's the official account of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China, sharing a quote from the former Chinese dictator Mao Zedong during the Korean War, the last time the U.S. and China were shooting at each other. And the message was, China will not yield to the U.S. That's an important signal as to how China sees the current trade war with the U.S., and that is the Chinese leaders do not want to be bullied by the U.S. president, and crucially, they don't want the Chinese people to see them being bullied by the U.S. president. That said, I'm told that Chinese leaders are open to negotiations with the U.S., but at this point, they don't see the channels open for those negotiations, and it's their perception the U.S. is not making an effort to open those channels. This is one more crucial point, that if and when negotiations happen, Xi Jinping is not going to meet Donald Trump, I'm told, at the very beginning of those negotiations. They want the agreements worked out first. They do not want a Zelensky in the Oval Office moment,
disrespectful to the country,
where the Chinese leader would be surprised or embarrassed. And that's key as we wait for any movement here in this trade war between the world's two economic superpowers.
Okay, so something just happened that might seem small, but it's actually a huge signal about where U.S.-China relations are heading. The Chinese Foreign Ministry posted a black and white video of Mao Zedong, yes, that Mao, talking about never backing down to the U.S. during the Korean War. And they didn't just post this for historical fun. This was a message, loud and clear. In the clip, Mao Zedong says China will fight to the end if necessary, calling for complete victory. This was in 1953 during the final months of the Korean War. And now, in 2025, they're using that message again. Why? Because China's basically telling the U.S., we're not backing down now either, especially not when it comes to tariffs, trade wars, and global power struggles. This is psychological warfare, 2025 edition. China's using Mao's image to frame themselves as strong, unwavering, and ready to go toe-to-toe with America again. And let's be real, this is directly tied to Trump's latest round of tariffs and all the tough guy rhetoric we've been hearing. He's trying to flex on China, but now they're flexing right back, using our own history with them as the backdrop. You want to talk about strength? Real strength isn't making bold threats that push us closer to Cold War 2.0. Real strength is smart policy, negotiation, leadership that doesn't leave working people holding the bag. Because right now, China's using symbolism and strategy, and the US? We're reacting with tariffs and slogans. That's playing checkers in a chess game. Look, the US needs to stand its ground, yes, but we also need to be smart. If China is drawing from the past to make a point about the future, we better start paying attention. Otherwise, we're going to wake up one day and realize we lost this war without firing a single shot. Anyways, that's it for today. See you at the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.